Hey everybody, I just wanted to make a quick video to show you how to use the two resources for this week's discussion. This week we're looking at a chapter on databases and using data to make decisions. I mean, at the end of the day, every organization, every business, the reason that we have this data is to make decisions, or at the very least, I mean, it may actually just be part of transactions and processes, but we're going to use that data in order to make decisions. And so I thought we would just do the same thing for you, but with a very practical decision. This is generally the time of the semester when students are looking at making decisions about classes they're going to take the next semester. And so I thought, well, let's have a discussion where you do a little research and use some data to make a decision about what class to take next semester. So I've got two different types of data for you. The first is an official source of data. The second will be a crowdsourced source of data. And you can kind of compare and contrast the two. Obviously, you're going to want to use all the data to make a decision. That's always the best option, to analyze everything in context. But let's start with the official source of information. Fresno City College actually has an entire department dedicated to researching data about our students and about our student success and our classes and everything. And all of it by law is public. So if you go up to quick links on our website, you will see institutional research. Click on that link and you'll see a whole bunch of information. In fact, some really great stuff about our success rates and our different, I think every community college in California needs to have a report card now, so your student success scorecard. That's kind of helpful if you're looking at comparing community colleges, but you're already here, so we're not going to worry about that so much. Here's something you may not know. There's something called a data dashboard. Now, Fresno State's is actually a little bit easier to use, but this has information tied to our program review as well as other things to talk about degree completion and stuff like that. Hopefully you've talked with your counselor about degrees. At this point, we're really just looking at classes. And so every single department on our campus has to submit a program review every 5 years. And so data is being constantly collected on all of our departments and all of our classes. And so you'll find that under program review data. This data goes back for 7 years. Beyond that, it really wouldn't matter. There's probably a lot of changes that have happened since then. But if you click on it, you will see a whole bunch of information that you probably don't care about. Enrollment, class sections, average class size, yada, yada, yada. But at the bottom, you'll see GPA, which is the average of the grades given out in that class, retention rate, how many people actually stick with the class and don't drop, and how many people successfully complete the class. So that's the number of people who have scored a grade of C or higher, which is our definition of success, in that class. Now this is for everything, right? This is the overall, every single class offered at Fresno City College. You can kind of see the averages here. Average class at Fresno City College is about 70% for success rates, and about 2.4 ish for GPA. We're going to call that the 20-yard line, right? In football, if you get a touchback, you get automatically put at the 20. If you run it back and you get to about the 20, you might as well have just took a knee in the end zone. I'm going to get rid of the football analogy here. Point being, this is neither good nor bad. We're just going to call that average. It is the average for Fresno City College. But you can disaggregate this data, very fancy term. You can break it down based on different divisions, subjects, etc. So let's ask a specific question. Let's say you need to take a language course. Now, this could be a decision between any two things. I'm choosing languages just because I know these numbers offhand. But it could be, should I be taking sociology or should I be taking anthropology? It could be, should I take physics or should I take astronomy? Right? In your general education, you get a lot of decisions you get to make. And one of those things that might come up is, how do these classes compare in terms of student success? In other words, what classes are students more likely to be successful in? By the way, the answer is not physics, but you probably already knew that. Physics is hard, and it's hard for a reason. But regardless, if you click on subject, you'll see every subject offered here at Fresno City College. Now, if you happen to know the division, you can actually put the division in, and that'll lower the number of options you have here. But let's say I want to compare, let's say I'm interested in taking German, right? So at the very top, I can uncheck the all button. That will uncheck all of these options. And then I can say, I'm thinking about taking German next semester as my language. Now, this is going to give you a comparison of all German courses. That's not what you want. You're only going to take the first one. So let's just look at German 1. So what we can see here is that German generally offers 2 to 3 sections per year. So there's probably only one section you'll have an option of. And you don't really care about class sizes or head counts or anything like that. If you scroll down, you will see GPA, slightly lower than the average for the campus, and the student success rates tend to be fairly low. So we would say that German is probably a harder class than the average class. Now this doesn't mean much, we just have to compare it with something else, one of our other options. Let's take the most popular option at Fresno City College, Spanish. So if we want to compare it with Spanish, uncheck all. And by the way, the data dashboard doesn't always work perfectly. As you can see, I tend to just refresh when I want to choose another option. That would be your Control R or Command R if you're on a Mac. And so here I'm going to uncheck all, go down, choose Spanish. And again, for the course, I only want to look at Spanish 1. We want to compare apples to apples here. It's just, am I taking German or am I taking Spanish? Now, by the way, Spanish, you can see we offer way more sections of Spanish 1. And my guess is we probably offer some face-to-face and some online. You can make a comparison there. I'm just going to average across face-to-face and online and just look at Spanish 1. So here you can see grades are actually slightly higher. There are more people receiving B's than receiving C's. And our success rates for Spanish 1 tend to be pretty good. About 3/4 of people will earn a grade of C or higher. So that's a pretty nice choice. And let's assume that you only care about how easy the course is, right? The chances of your success in the course. If that's all you care about, then it seems like taking Spanish is a sure bet. At the very least, it seems like it's an easier course than German. But that being said, there's a lot of other things that you can't really take into account. We don't know anything about the instructors or about changes in instructors. We don't know anything about the people who are actually taking the class, right? We have a large Hispanic population. They might be more motivated to learn Spanish than, let's say, people taking German. Maybe there's not a lot of people of German heritage taking German, right? They don't have as much of an interest. German is certainly the less practical of the two languages, so there may not be a desire for, to learn it for work or something like that. So there could be a lot of other factors in place, but this just gives you sort of a base set of information. What we're doing here is using a dashboard to really look across a large set of data. I mean, every student's grades for anybody who's ever taken a Spanish class. That's a lot of information. By the way, if you were to continue your investigation to try and see, hey, is there actually a language that's even has higher success rates than Spanish? There is. So Armenian, and of course Fresno has a large Armenian population. And again, this could just be that people who take Armenian tend to be really motivated to learn Armenian. But 2 sections a year, so 1 every semester. You're not going to get a whole lot of options in terms of scheduling. But look at the success rates. My goodness. Everybody this year passed with a grade of C or higher. And it turns out more people are receiving A's than are receiving B's. The success rates, the GPA rates for Armenian tend to be really, really high. Why is that? Again, maybe it's a motivated student population. Maybe it's a great teacher. I mean, with these number of sections, it's probably just one instructor. we don't know, but we at least can see the final results. We're looking at data to try to tell a story, right? To try and gain information. And that's going to involve some speculation, and you kind of want to avoid speculation as much as possible. What we know is that student success rates are much higher in Armenian than they are in Spanish. And Spanish is much higher than German. And that can help you make a decision as you're choosing a language for next semester. So if your SEP says German, you might want to have a talk to your counselor and see if you can get that changed. Or just take the other class, right? So this is an official source of information. It's hard to find, it's hard to use, it's somewhat limited. And so students often will choose crowdsourced sources of information. So crowdsourcing just means that average users, this data is compiled by an actual department at Fresno City College, a department whose job it is to create accurate data. But crowdsourced information can also be really helpful. There's just a lot of things you have to sort of balance. But overall, getting both of those pieces of data together, you can get a really good story of what's going on. So the obvious choice for crowdsourced information in terms of picking a class, you've probably already heard of this website, ratemyprofessors.com. This is essentially and by the way, you're going to see tons of ads on this. That's just because you're college students and everybody wants your money. But regardless, Rate My Professors is a place where students can just post their thoughts about particular instructors. Now here's the thing. This information is not necessarily good or accurate. It's not vetted. You could be manipulated. There's nothing to prevent instructors from rating themselves, right? Maybe rating themselves very highly. There could be a bias. Like there's no requirement that everyone has to actually rate their professor. And so because of that, maybe only students who really like their professors are the ones rating. Or maybe a professor did something that upset a lot of people, and so then all of those people decided to rate them. There's no guarantees about, this source of information, right? It's crowdsourced. And so what you really want to look at, probably more than anything else, is the number of ratings. As the number of ratings increases, you can be more assured that the ratings are accurate. Now, because this is not official information, I am not going to show any instructor other than myself. So let's just start with me. This is my name. By the way, you probably wouldn't know people's first names, so you might actually want to just search by college. So if we say Fresno City College, click on here, you'll get a name of a whole bunch of people. And then this seems to be taking a while to load. So then over here, you can enter your department. And I'm in the Computer Information Technology department, right? Enter your professor's name. If I just say Baker, that should, what? No, I swear I am an employee here. All right, I've solved the problem. Apparently, Rate My Professors just doesn't realize what department I work in. So for me, I just need to, just exit this out. Let's get rid of that. And then type in Baker. And you'll see me here, Brian Baker. And I have a 4.8 rating out of 5. Well, that seems quite nice. But here's the thing, right? This doesn't tell you much. What you should look at is this. I only have 14 ratings. How do you know who these 14 people are, right? I mean, how do you know that I didn't, actually leave some of these ratings? That could be the case. So, overall, there's not a whole lot of great information here. Now, you can actually look at the narratives, right? So this person was in my C++ class. Good for their major. That's nice. This person took Android with me. That's nice. Of course, that's not the class that you might be taking with me. So here's CIT 12. That's kind of like 15. Yada, yada. Nice. Right? But you don't know who these people are. Here's a 15, right? Point being, with only 14 people's reviews, it's kind of hard to know whether or not, get rid of this tooltip. There we go. It's kind of hard to know whether or not the information is valid or not. Now, when you start seeing people who have 50 ratings or 100 ratings, you can be more assured that what you're seeing is actually a good rating, right? If you go to Yelp and you see, a Mediterranean restaurant and it's got 8 reviews, all of which are 5 stars, all that means is that that family has 8 relatives, right? 8 friends or something. That doesn't mean anything. But if you see a Mediterranean restaurant and it's got, 500 reviews and they're all 4.5 stars, I would take that 4.5 star restaurant over a 5 star restaurant with only 8 reviews every single day. Over time, and that's the idea of crowdsourced information, the bigger the crowd, the more people who are sharing the information, the more likely that information is to be accurate. Now, that's not always true with everything you read online, all right? And that's probably another discussion for another day in terms of finding the truth in information and determining whether or not something you see online is true. But at least for crowdsourced information, for things that aren't factual in nature, things that are opinion based, you can be kind of assured that that barbecue restaurant that has 1,000 reviews and they're all great is probably a pretty good place to buy barbecue. So anyway, this is your discussion for this week. Take a look at these 2 sources of information: the data dashboards, the official sources of information from the Fresno City College website, and then Rate My Professors, a crowdsourced bit of information that isn't going to give you, all the same information. I mean, if you look at this, you would think, well, let's see here. Does it say what grade they got? Somewhere here it says what grades they got. Right. My guess is these all seem like pretty happy people. They probably all got fairly good grades. That is not the case for all the students that have taken my classes. And so you're getting a really biased bit of information from just 14 people who took all sorts of different classes. Point being, this is going to be a better source to figure out grades and how successful students are. This might be able to give you more information about an instructor and how well you might get along with them or how reasonable they seem if there's enough reviews. And it can also help with classes. Here, the college is not going to give you any information about individual instructors. If you're taking English 1A, this is not going to tell you which instructor to take English 1A with, right? There's no comparison for individual instructors inside of a class. Whereas this might give you that information. Again, just check the number of ratings. Make sure that it's high, all right? That's your discussion for this week, and hopefully you find it practical.